Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about our order of operations with only integers. Okay, I know you guys have already learned order of operations, so I'm not going to go super in depth, but it's a really good idea for you guys to still write this down in your notebook just in case. So the order of operations is the order in which we do our operations. You always start, on the left-hand side, moving to the right-hand side. So whenever you're given a problem, this is the order in which you do your operations. Anytime you see something in parentheses, that's what you should always work on first. A lot of times there's not even going to be an operation inside of the parentheses, which means that you would move on to your next step, which is exponents. If you don't have any exponents, that's the point at which you would move on to your multiplication. However, I want to point out to you guys that really the M and the D are interchangeable with one another. You could actually make this PEDMAS if you really wanted to. You can flip-flop the M and the D. Generally, because it's easy to remember, try to do multiplication first, but know that these two are interchangeable. So after parentheses, after exponents, you always work on your multiplication and your division. And then after that, same thing with our addition and subtraction. These are interchangeable. You could put the subtraction before the addition, but either way, they go together, and make sure you guys are doing these as the last step in your order of operations, okay? So let's go ahead, I'm gonna erase this, and you guys are going to keep it in your notebooks, and we're gonna go ahead and do an example of this. The first example I wanna do is going to be 5 times -5 minus -7. And before I continue, I'm just going to go ahead and write up here our order of operations in case we forget PEMDAS. Just in case we need a quick reminder of what those mean. So think about this. First up, our first thing is parentheses. I want you guys to see that we have two different sets of parentheses going on. However, inside of our first set of parentheses is just a -5. There's no operation going on in there at all. And same thing with our -7. So we see that there's no operations happening inside of our parentheses, so we are done with the P. Next up, our E stands for exponents, and if we look all throughout our problem here, notice we don't have any exponents to deal with, okay? Just gonna cross that out. Check, we did that step. Next up is our M. Remember now our M and our D are interchangeable, so we're gonna be looking for any multiplications or divisions up next. What I see first is, we are multiplying this +5 times a -5. So this is going to be the first step that I'm going to bring down. Let's go ahead and do this first. 5 times a -5 is a -25. And I'm going to bring down everything that I haven't already touched, or everything that I have not touched already. In this case is minus a -7. Okay. We're done with multiplication. We don't have any division in here, which just lands us left with our addition and our subtraction. We notice here that we are subtracting a negative number. And if we think back to our negative rules, we know that anytime we are subtracting a negative, it becomes a positive. So really, we are saying it is -25 plus 7. And in this case, thinking we're starting at -25, so we're all the way to the left of 0 at -25, and we're adding, so we're going to the right, we're getting closer to 0. -25 plus 7 is -18. Great job, everybody. Notice how this -18 is closer to 0 than -25 because we added 7 to it. Awesome. Let's go ahead and do one more example. And I'm going to rewrite my PEMDAS so we can go through our checklist. Okay, next up, we are going to be taking negative 4 plus negative 3 times 6. Let's go through that same process and start at the very beginning of our order of operations and notice if we have any parentheses. We do have one set of parentheses, but just like in the last example, there's no operations happening in there, so we don't have to do anything. Check. Next up is our exponents. No exponents to be had here. Check. But next up is our multiplication and division, and I do see that there's a multiplication here. So this is the first operation that I'm going to do here, is negative 3 times 6, which I know is negative 18. One thing to point out real quick is that I want you guys to notice that anytime I have a resulting negative number, I put it in parentheses. So it's really clear that this is a negative number and we're not just like subtracting it from elsewhere. It's just crystal clear that it's negative 18. In addition to that, I'm going to bring down everything else that we have not dealt with yet. Okay? Now remember, okay, going back to our steps, we have no more multiplication. We have no division, but we do have a good bit of addition and subtraction. I want us to remember that anytime we are adding a negative number, we're really just subtracting. So what we're saying here is negative 4 minus 18. So it's not always necessary that we have parentheses, but it does just clear some things up. Okay? So now we got rid of our addition and we only have subtraction left. We are starting at negative 4 and we're going even more to the left, away further from 0. So negative 4 minus 18, our result is going to be negative 22. My dogs agree that that's the correct answer. Hope you guys have a great day. I will see you guys in the morning.